Okay, SyFy's original movie, Ghoul. I'll be honest, this one is at least watchable. It's got some moments that are pretty good, and other moments that are ridiculously bad. A few moments that are so bad, you kind of go, are you really going there? This looks so ridiculous. And they're almost undeniably laughable. Okay, very basic premise. Different from some of the other sci-fi movies. This doesn't take place in a jungle on an island with dinosaurs. Instead, this is your typical nondescript Eastern European village. Village with a secret. You know, the opening scene essentially has a bunch of, I'll just call them evil priests or warlocks, whatever term you want to throw in for people clad in cloaks performing a dark magic ritual. So now you know the very basic background story of it is that you have a town that does an evil ritual, and therefore you have ghouls. These ghouls, ironically, if you saw a goblin, you'll see a huge resemblance between the two. When they're in the air, they're these weird smoky apparitions. When they land, they're a not that bad zombie-esque creature in a cloak. The kills are done fairly well. I mean, they're bloody, they're violent, and you see like heads getting like torn off back that way, eyes getting punctured, and that's done fairly well. It's done cheesy and schlocky enough for the kills to make that part almost actually kind of worth watching. After you're introduced to the backdrop of it, you then go to generic American town where dad, daughter, and girlfriend are. And then they're on their way to nondescript Eastern European village because that's where dad was raised. Dad left there to find a woman in America. Most people don't like that he left because the daughter's mother was an outsider. And apparently in his bloodline there hasn't been a daughter for many generations. This is kind of a big deal. So they've always married into, to have a female. So all of a sudden she's kind of special. And they show up in nondescript Eastern European village. And of course everyone there acts like nondescript Eastern European people. Everyone smokes. Everyone's got unkempt facial hair. The women who are kind of old look at her like, you're too thin. And then feed her bizarre food. The twists and turns in this movie are stock. That's the one sad thing. You've got moments where you kind of go, okay, if you're showing in the beginning that like a lot of people in the town are involved in this, and then also things just happen to ironically sync up perfectly. It's one of those where like, oh, okay, the funeral happened ironically like the night of some sort of huge cataclysmic planetary alignment ghoul queen ceremony. So if his mother hadn't have died, what would have happened then? Now you're first introduced to the ghouls when you get to see two guys in leather dusters using shotguns and grenades. You can guess it, they're the good guys. Good guys almost always wear, Australian-style leather dusters and use shotguns and grenades to kill the supernatural. So feel bad that they're actually druids. And of course, the main way to destroy lots of these things is to use one of those medieval daggers you see on eBay, or when you go to a Japanese sword shop that you find in your mall. And that's ironically a lot of the movie is getting the background of some of the druids, as well as a little more background on the actual town itself, which is nice because the plot's actually coherent. Some of the acting is bad. There's a scene where an old woman is being chased by one of the ghouls, and she's literally running like this. Ah! Ah! I have never seen anyone run for their lives like they're olive oil, just arms flailing in the air. And that's kind of bad. There's a scene of dialogue where it's the daughter and the girlfriend having a conversation, and that's done fairly well. You know, I've seen the girlfriend in lots of movies. I can't place her name for the life of me. Now her dad. If you've seen most '80s movies where they were at a school and there's kind of like a prick professor, it's probably him. I think he was also. I want to say his name was Mr. Peck in Ghostbusters. He's got to in the containment field. So that's the dad. As you can tell, he's kind of a douche dad in this movie too. But it works because, you know, he delivers dialogue that's believable. Most of what you hear in this movie does come off believable, which is pretty good. Towards the end, they have this really crazy, did you really want to go there moment? And like the last 5-10 minutes of the movie, it's just laughably bad. And of course, the main druid, he reminds me of like, you know, cocky frat jock from a bunch of college movies. So there are some cliches, but you know, the costume design for the ghouls when they're actually on the ground isn't that bad. It's not good, it's not that bad. Some of the kills are actually pretty decent. You know, the acting, while not quite up to like a mainstream movie, is actually better than most sci-fi movies. And the dialogue and the plot, quite coherent. This one actually is enjoyably watchable. I didn't hate this one. It's actually not that bad. So, Ghouls. It's watchable.